G'day all, Ben here, East West. Going to take a look at uranium in this video. Just going to step back in time a bit here, and I'm just going to focus on Elliott Wave in this video and how the patterns are unfolding in the ETFs. So I know it's not always a very popular subject, and I used to present a lot of Elliott Wave. I haven't done as much lately. Reason being that it's not always useful. At times it will be very useful, at times not so much. But when the clouds part and the picture becomes clear, that's when it is quite useful. So I thought I'd just review where we're at on the big picture, because I think there is a pattern unfolding here that warrants some attention. So just starting off here with URA, there's a few different ways you could dice this, of course. I'm going for a three-wave pattern here with this horrible corrective pattern, and I think we're putting in another three-wave pattern. Now, just to review, the target on this current three-wave pattern, which for context would be this pattern, the one-to-one move would put us here at $41.07 roughly, and the other possible targets are up here into this zone, which is sort of $47 to $50, and at a bit extension up here to $55 and $58. So that would be the targets for the next leg of the rally, which I don't think has started, but is getting closer. Now there's some interesting, just looking at this as being the impulse, and this as being, we're not sure about the end of this movement coming down that we're currently experiencing. Okay, this one here. Right now I'm basing off the bottom of here, but there is a possibility that we just slip down to make an expanded flat. We'll look at that in a moment. However, just going off the current local lows, the 100% move of this move back down to here, if it came up 100%, a one-to-one move, that would also lay straight on top of, this one's quite interesting because it would lay straight on top of the 100% move of this leg up here. So there's a lot of confluence there, and also this move here, if this move was going to project 161.8% of this move, then that would put us up here into the range of the 1272 to the 1382, which would put the C wave up here. So there is a couple of areas of confluence going on there. That's just a bigger picture idea though. So we're just breaking down to the 4 hour, because I think this is where it warrants some attention of what's going on here, because this looks like a very nice forming impulse. So we have the wave 1 down, the wave 2 bounce. Now this potential wave 3 bottom here has come down to between, this is the high probability zone for a wave 3 bottom. Okay. Now there is a school of thought. I've been going back and forth with uranium charts, who is also very good at Elliott Wave. So if you haven't already been blocked by him, you might want to try to follow him, but he's sort of thinking that perhaps this is going to be the bottom of wave 3 and we're yet to put in wave 4. But it's very difficult to tell in the short term. Just for the moment, I'm going off this because I've got a 1 wave, a 2 wave, a 3 wave down to the high probability area, and then I was just looking at this wave 4 bounce here. Now the wave 4 bounce has taken us up to the area between 23.6% and 38.2%, the length of wave 3. So that is the high, and that looks like there's 3 waves in there, so that is the high probability for wave 4. Of course, this could be ongoing. We could certainly see a situation where, even though this top doesn't get broken, we could certainly see, it even looks like, we could certainly see this to complete the wave 4 before we go down. But I'm not playing it that way just at the moment. I'm just now looking at this movement and obviously the big move we've had down today. Now, early days, but if this did end up forming to be an impulse, the target zone for the third wave down here would lie down here, around this $27 mark. That would be the expectation. It doesn't have to fall that far, but then we'd be expecting some sort of sideways style bounce before a final wave down, and that would complete the entire movement and the entire correction. So that would be what I'd be on the lookout for, basis the Elliott wave patterns that are evolving. So that would lead us into a few different measurements we could do here. So the 1-to-1 off, the length of wave 1 projected off wave 4 would only give us down to here, and that looks a little bit short to me the way this is forming up. be more interested in the line of confluence here. This is the 61.8%, the length of potential wave 3 off 4. Even that looks potentially a little bit short to me. We'll have to see how it plays out. I don't mind the market coming and breaking the bottom here. We will have to see how this plays. Of course, this is just an idea that's forming currently. But just as we move back out, that would play into the idea here of a more expanded flat where the B wave's taken out the top here. There's some big question marks over what's going on through here because this looks impulsive, but I'm not going to go into that. We're just going to see how the structure forms out before we can make judgments on the bigger picture. Corrections are always difficult, but that looks like the point of call. So I am thinking more downside from here and a test down to this low. And once we get down there, we would be looking for any signs of divergence, which we don't currently really have. I mean, it's very, very slight, but I'd be looking for something a little bit starker in here to really finish off this movement. And I think if we get down here, finish off here, we will be set for the next rally, which could, which I would expect would be something more along the lines of this, but that would finish off that correction. So we will see. Just moving over to URNM now on a 3-day chart, and it's the same idea we've got going on here. We've had this horrible looking correction, we've had this impulsive rip, and now I think we're just doing a mid rally correction before we go up. So once again, the targets would be on the move of this move projected off the bottom of this correction. 1-to-1 would put us up to $71.21, and then we've got these targets higher, sort of 83. I'll just get rid of that. We've got $83 up to $88, and potentially as high as around $100. That's just potentially. You're going to need a big rip to get up to that. So once again, we are just looking at the moment for the completion of this wave before an expected rally further on. Now, of course, we don't have the bottom. We're just using the bottom that we have here at the moment. And the projected 1-to-1 moves would take us not as good as in terms of the confluence. We've got 100% here at $75, which is a little bit above this. And we've got 161.8% the length up here at $94, which is very, very lofty. We will see. But it's the same idea here. We don't have the bottom here. We're looking for the bottom to come in at this point. So just coming in here, look at the closer up picture, and the same process as URA I've gone through with this one. We've got a nice looking third wave down here that's gone right down to the high probability area for wave 3. Then coupled with that, we have what looks to me like a 3-wave swing back up into the high probability zone for wave 4. Now again, there's a possibility that this could be not the bottom of wave 3 and that this is actually the bottom of wave 3. But I'm still just leaning on the fact that we got to that area and reacted so far away from it, and we've had this very nice bounce back here. So I'm still leaning into this, but obviously open to change, as you always have to be using any sort of Elliott wave application on a short-term basis. So once again, this is just a potential path. I'm not sure it'll get this far down. This would just be, if this did prove to be the 1-2 of the 5th wave, this would just be the high probability area that you'd be looking for. But of course it can be shorter, or this might turn into something else. But right now, what we can see, it looks impulsive. So again, a 1-to-1 move here looks a little bit too short. 61.8% of the move from waves 1 to 3 off 4 would take us down here, which again looks a little bit short. We could be going for 100% of the move 1 to 3, so we would have an extension in the 5th wave. So that looks not out of the realms of possibility at this stage, which of course is going to come and take us down below this low that we set in March. So once again, whilst that wouldn't be much fun for people holding the stock, for me, just the pattern would fill out nicely here as an expanded flat. And that would mean, of course, that we would hopefully see some signs of divergence coming into the RSI as we came down here to complete. And there's nothing to say that this doesn't make it back this far. It could terminate somewhere down here. That being the case, then we'd be looking at some sort of running flat, which is a good sign of strength to come in the broader sense. But if we did get down here, it's more common then to have the expanded flat. So it may only trickle through. It may not be much. If you think about the 1-to-1 move of this leg to this leg that's yet to terminate, well, this is the one-to-one move, which would put it above there, which would make the running flat. But even if it just tickled through ever slightly, that's fine, because overall we're still looking for the bigger move for this termination of this movement, and we're looking for the bigger movement to go up higher like so. So just finishing off with URNJ here, and this one's a little bit different because obviously we don't have the price history. We missed a lot of what was happening sort of in the early 2020s coming off that COVID low. Nonetheless, so I'm sort of counting this as an impulse up, which kind of goes along the lines of what everything else saw. So when we take the length of this impulse up, I think this is now correcting. You know, the one-to-one puts us up here at $39.45, with the higher targets being so $44 to nearly 46, and as high as sort of between 49 and almost sort of 49.60, 51.80. So they would be the bigger targets, but this would be the more common thing to look for initially, of course, which would be 100% of the move, which would just be a simple AB equals CD move. Now, just coming into the daily here, this is just the length of this move projected off. So this move projected off the bottom of this move. So what we would do is we would just line this up, okay, and the projections put us, it's very similar to URA where 100%, so I mean it's obvious, right? So you know 100% of this move puts us up to here, and 168% up to there, because it's the same sort of idea. The difference, of course, with URA is that you've got the extra history to go off. But that just lines, well, it doesn't line up because it is the same thing, but that is just the areas that we're looking for. So once again, this all remains to be seen. This will take years to prove whether or not it's correct. But what we're looking at the moment is the movement down through here, because that is what holds the key to everything in the near-term future. Now we're just looking at this. There's still, I'll reiterate, there's still question marks about how to label this, because this looks like an impulse down, even though it finishes with a 3. So, you know, we could make a case that this is actually the finish of this correction, and this is an expanded correction here. But I don't want to go into the semantics. I mean, that's just the lowest point that I'm going off at this stage, but I'm not concentrating on that so much at the moment. I'm just watching what's happening through here, because once again, this is doing the same thing. So we've got the one wave, the two wave, then we've got this move down into the high probability zone, and a corrective bounce up here for wave 4. Wave 4 actually I would think would probably be like that, which looks like a running flat as well. So without drilling down, I mean, wave 4 could have finished here, and we had a sharp with this sort of flattish tube. And that would put this potentially in a different scenario than the others in terms of it's a lot closer to its finish point. So we'll just look at that, because that is something a little bit different, and we could possibly dice this up a different way. However, I think I'll actually just stick with the correction ending here, because this looks like 1, 2. So this came up again into that high probability zone. So we'll just look at this final movement, because that's the one I'm interested in. So if we were going to get the smaller impulse here, this would blow, this would be the expectation down to below here. That would be the high probability zone, which is going to put us well below this here. So that would, you know, that would sink the ship somewhat in terms of what's going on here, just in the short term. But then I'd be looking, of course, for the, you know, the impulse to kind of play out in that regard. Okay, so you would just be expecting the sideways sort of bounce followed by the final move back down. So again, the one-to-one move looks a little bit too short for me. I don't think, I think if it's going to play this way, it's going to get a little bit lower than that. The 61.8 extension of the 1 to 3 wave off potential wave 4 top would bring us down into this high probability zone. So, you know, that could mean just that this wave 3 is just shorter. Okay, nothing says it has to travel down here. It's just something that gets picked up a little bit through the repeating patterns of the market. So, you know, certainly the market could form up this way. And this would be your wave 3, and then 4, and then 5, and that would finish everything off. So that also remains a probability, and a probability across them all. There's nothing to say that it's got to absolutely collapse. So even a move like that would put us, let me just clean this up a little bit. if we're talking about looking at this movement to this movement and then down to here, well, that would give us that nice expanding flat, and we've got a little bit of confluence to line up there. So, that remains a possibility. But I think the way that this looks in an Elliott sense is that it would seem to me that it looks fairly certain that we're going to come down and at least test this, if not just break straight just through it. But I would say that if we do this, that I'll be on the lookout for this spot. I mean, this one is starting to diverge a little bit more. We'll just come up here to the daily. It does look like it's approaching its final movement down. So that's why I'd be sort of on alert here to see this and see if it plays out, because I think if it does, then we've got a pretty good case. And really overall, this being an expanded flat, that's fine. That's just correcting this rally. Okay, so a move down here is nothing to be worried about. In fact, I think it fills out the pattern quite nicely. So that was just a bit of an Elliott wave update, as opposed to some of the different things I've been doing over the recent months. So that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.